Welcome in to Sunday Cincinnati Soccer Talk post-match show edition. We have worked really hard to make sure no sandwich ads pop up during this stream, and we didn't want to wait to be calmed down for our usual Monday night show. This is a big match. Big result. Either way, we were coming live. Playoffs, no playoffs. We want you to participate with us. We want your raw emotion, your comments. Throw them out there. This is going to be a little bit different of a show. We're going to kind of just feature what you guys want to talk about as well. We've got some stuff we want to mention, but we clearly did not plan this very well because we're live and we want to hear from you. After years of knowing FCC was dead by August, you guys have waited for this moment, stuck with this team. Suffering brings a greater appreciation of the good moments and when they will happen. I know I have appreciated watching meaningful matches this month, even if my blood pressure has not. I'm your host, Boston Brazel, and our cast might be a little in and out as our hosts shuffle their afternoons around, but a little chaos added to the mix makes things spicy. First, let's welcome in our co-host, which I'm sure I have a lot in my mind. I know Brian Weigel right now is watching the crew match, trying to see what's going on. Brian, give us an update.
34 flat, 3 minutes and stoppage to go. Columbus on the counter. It's getting crazy, folks. Let's go Orlando, right?
Orlando's still up 2-1?
So far, 2-1. If they can finish this out, we'll see.
All right.
Don't want to jinx anybody.
That's your job, is to keep us updated, and you're allowed to scream no matter who's talking.
All right, I'm going to keep myself updated.
All right, Coach, joining us from California. I'm glad you're here because I know you saw it's all rainbows and sunshine for me. I saw a win, but you might have actually saw other things in that match worth discussing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough wearing the hat and the coach hat and the fan hat at the same time. But, there was a moment in the match. I get the DC broadcast out here, because I'm out in non-Cincinnati land. And there was a moment when the announcers were talking about how it's just important to not worry about the score, but just look for those little individual moments to show building blocks for the future. And I am just so happy for me to not be the one saying that this year.
Yes, indeed.
I just got relegated to the bottom half, you jerk.
That's because I wanted to put comments up, and I didn't know if it'd cover Coach's face. So turns out we're still safe here. What if I do this? Well, I didn't do anything. All right, guys. Let's get Jason in. Jason, how about that match?
Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? I'll tell you where I'm going to go. I'm going to go to the playoffs, baby. That's where I'm going to go.
You a little liquefied there, bud?
No, not too liquefied, but I do have a celebratory whiskey.
I'm Boston ruined my celebratory proceedings. I was going to open my brand new bottle of Blanton's, and I guess I have to put that off for a little bit later. But yeah, man, we got a minute to go here. Columbus is taking a shot, and Galese with a big save.
Nice. All right, guys. Well, before we get things too crazy started, we want to thank our sponsor, SwearoX. It might be a live special show, but they're still with us. They're still supporting us. So big shout out to our fans and sponsor at SwearoX, who have been with us for quite a while now. Head out to Amazon or Jungle Gyms and buy SwearoX next time and support a sponsor that supports CST. So thanks. All right, let's get into the best and the worst. 5-2 FC Cincinnati versus DC United. I don't know if you guys have had time to gather your thoughts yet, but I guess we'll go to Jason first. What are your best and worst? And also, fans out there, put your best and worst in the comment. We'll put them up on the screen.
My best in particular for the game, I know someone else is probably going to say Brenner. I'm going to say Brandon Vasquez. 3 assists and a goal, if I had that correct. 19 goals on the season, which if you had told me going into the year we'd have 2 strikers that are nearing 20 goals, I would have told you were crazy. So great job by the team as a whole, but I think Brandon Vasquez really played out of his mind today, was a real threat up top, and I can't say enough about him. Worst, we didn't get 6. That's my worst. I wanted to put a touchdown up on DC United to finish out the year. I woke up this morning thinking that we could win the game. And once it started, I was like, you know what? It'd be great if we could get 6 goals. But 5 is great. I'm not going to get too selfish, and just happy to be in the playoffs, man.
Blow the whistle.
You were muted, Boston.
Blow the whistle. Blow the whistle.
Yeah.
Blow the whistle.
Will, I got Will's coming up. Where are we playing next? He's ready to go. Well, it looks like
Joyzy.
New York Red Bulls in New Jersey. So FC Cincinnati will get a chance for vindication.
Guys, Columbus is going to lose.
New York.
It's final. Yeah.
Columbus is going to lose.
All right.
By the way, did Vasquez have 19 or 18? MLS
18.
is showing 18.
18 in
There it
MLS.
is. Final. Get wrecked, Columbus. Get wrecked.
FC Cincinnati leaves their Ohio companions behind. Man,
Sorry.
that's big. That's big because Columbus does have two. Like, if you ask for me to compare FC Cincinnati to another team, Columbus also has like that Brenner Vasquez threat, or I guess Acosta would be a better example with Zelarayan and Cucho. So I'm not sad to see them out at all.
Oh,
So
baby.
is Porter going to put his house on the market like Monday, or is he going to wait a few days?
You have to wonder, right? I doubt he gets fired. I
Well,
really.
he bet his house on them making the playoffs.
That's
so.
right. That's right. Before the season.
Oh my goodness. We got in. Columbus didn't. If you would have told me at the beginning of this year that we would have been 5th place, holy Jeebus, boys. And Columbus not making it.
As soon as this show's over, I'm gonna go watch the meltdown that is Crew Fans Online and just
Oh my
enjoy every minute of it. Just
God.
drink it in. Oh man, I'm excited. Oh man, Jose's best FC Cincinnati making the playoffs, of course. Worst giving too much space in the back third. Man, had to go digging for a worst. I understand. Coach, we'll throw it to you.
Well, I hate to be, the person who's always just being reasonable here, but that's my role. So my best, actually, I'm going to start with worst. I'm going to pull full on Jeff Tebbets in honor of his wedding and honeymoon. My worst is 1v1 defending, because as good as FCC looked today, man, so many of our players got toasted in 1v1 defense just by getting burnt by these kids from DC United. For my best, I'm going to go with Pat Noonan. As a coach, I want to give the coach some credit. Not only did he, I think, get the game script spot on by sitting back a little bit more, he didn't go into that press they usually do, because DC United wanted to play long into Benteke, and he realized that, so he didn't go. He backed that press up to more like the middle third than going up to the front third. But then rotating at the right time, getting Moreno out at halftime was absolutely the right call. And it's the call that made sense, but I still doubted that he would do it. Getting Murphy in, getting, Vasquez out at the end, just some fresh legs on. I thought he had a really good season overall, right? But this match too.
Matthew Long on YouTube saying, never saw this coming on a freezing night in Austin. I was sitting next to Matthew in that we were just miserable. Absolutely. Not just because of the cold, which it was miserable, but the score was miserable. And after 3 years of FC Cincinnati losing, we just said, here we go again. And you got to keep in mind, Matthew is one of the biggest optimists you'll ever meet. He's constantly during those 3 years tweeting out, this is the game. This is where we turn around. But we did finally turn around. Matthew's finally right. My own wife, Kana, best 5 goals. Worst, the cost of flights to New York City and potentially playing on a Monday. Yeah, she's already been
we
looking.
could play on a Monday?
Yeah, it's going to be a Saturday game, Sunday game, or a Monday game.
I hope not.
It just depends on what the MLS scheduling gods do.
And Kana's spot on with those flight prices, by the way. Oof.
Yeah.
They crazy?
They went up. A week ago they were okay.
And we're talking about like $440 a pop. We're talking about like $600 a pop.
I think somewhere around that $400 or $500 range.
Okay.
But still.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never be allowed to go anyway. So
I've already been told no.
Oh man, so you just need a wife that jumps on the show, and there you go, guys, and then you'll be allowed to go.
No, don't forget. I mean, you're probably using some MGM rewards points or something there.
We'll certainly try. I don't know. Short notice. Oh, there you go. Doug's saying drive to New York City.
Oh.
11 hours. 11 hours there, 11 hours back. As long as it's not the Monday, I think it would be doable. That you really need, for me to do that, Doug, I would need Saturday game for sure.
Pennsylvania Turnpike, man, though. Ooh.
Nate'll come down from wherever he is, DC or whatever. Take the train down.
No, the
Cover it.
train will take forever. All right, let's start to Brian.
I was
Best and
just
worst.
waiting for you, pal.
Yeah.
Best big players showed up, baby. The big players showed up. Lucho showed up. Obi showed up in the midfield. Vasquez, Brenner, Celentano. Boys, that's all we can ask for in these games. This is why you pay them the big bucks, and it was huge that they were there. Another best. How beautiful! I mean, besides the own goal, like these are some beautiful goals in this match. I mean, even DC's goals were well taken. I'm actually like, I'm gonna circle DC on my calendar next year and be like, I am not excited to play these dudes because there's talent on these youngsters. Who is that guy? Ravel Morrison, where the midfielder is.
Yeah, he
Ravel
scored the first
Morrison.
goal.
Yeah, dude,
Ravel Morrison.
that's a player. So, good on DC. Good on those young guys, and I'm glad that we stood up to the chances to take the points. Worst, did we see the attendance across the league on these games? Like empty seats, like in Orlando, in Philly, in DC. I mean, DC filled in a little bit better, but like, come on, like we got to reevaluate this decision day on Sundays. So,
Yeah.
I
can't imagine missing that Orlando game where your team comes back, though. If you're an Orlando fan that skipped that for anything but like a 10-year anniversary or something, man, you're in trouble.
Another best Boston. Sorry to jump in here. Is there like an auction for Caleb Porter's house now, or how does that work?
I don't know. We should reach out. I heard about it from the newspaper in Columbus, so I think that's the first spot we should go check because they're on top of it.
Let's be real. They missed the playoffs because of the 15 yard spot difference, whatever meter difference. So let's be clear there.
I would not want Porter's house. I mean, think about all the water damage in there from all the tears after every match, all the wrongs that have been perpetrated against him personally by the refs, by his own fans, by opposing fans. I mean, that place has got to be a swamp.
He seems like a break stuff when he's angry type of dude.
He blames everybody else for his problems. I mean,
Yeah.
if you listen to his post-match interviews, he blames players. Sometimes he blames the refs. Sometimes he blames it's everybody's fault but his. So you can imagine a homeowner like that if he's walking around his house and he's like, "No pipe, you busted. It's not my fault. It's your fault. I'm just gonna
I wonder
leave
if he goes around shushing his neighbors.
Oh, not to kick a guy while he's down, but we are. So cool. I love it. Happy.
No, that's it. In this case, it is 100% allowed. Oh man, well, this was a beautiful game. A lot of goals, like you said, for DC. Had some young strikes of importance. Let's go ahead and recap the 5-2 match versus DC. FC Cincinnati rolls out the exact same lineup we are used to. Brenner and Vasquez up top. DC, though, only 5 carryover. Rooney decides to give minutes to the youngsters and see what he has, which, I kind of like to see that from a coach. He realizes they've already got the wooden spoon in hand and just said, hey, I'm going to dig through this roster, see what I have for next season, and figure it out. What'd you guys think of the roster decisions? Coach, would you make the same move if you're Rooney?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, at this point, you know that your veterans that you're going to bring back in your head, and you probably know the guys that you want to get rid of. So the other decisions to be made are like giving some of these young kids some real exposure against a good team and kind of have that thought in your minds going into next year. Is this a position that I need to fill with a starter? Or am I bringing in competition for this young kid that I already have on my roster? So, plus as a neutral or as a fan of the opposition, like we are, getting to see those kids, that up-and-coming talent, like Brian was saying, I think is more fun for everybody.
There's a question for you in chat there, Coach, from Clifford Adams. I don't know why he doesn't ask me. I'm super knowledgeable, but I said, legit question for Coach. It is our low possession percentage and 101 fewer passes against DC a product of a more aggressive scoring strategy or something we should try to fix? What changes when you go up 2 to 3 goals?
I think typically when you go up 2 or 3 goals, that your number of passes and your percentage generally go up because you're playing a lot simpler and you're not going forward. So the fact that the game plan stayed similar, what FCC wants, which is let the other team have the ball a bit and then hit them on the counter and go fast when you have the ball and not worry so much if you're going to turn it over because you always have that counter press. I think that's a good sign for us as FC Cincinnati fans, showing like even in that game up 2, 3, 4 goals, there were moments certainly when they kind of let the intensity drop off. But for the most part, they stayed with that plan. Don't be afraid to turn the ball over going forward, because you can win it on the counter press and then, get back straight to it.
My worst, and the reason I saved it for down here is I was worried about Junior Mourinho, and to kind of tie in my best with that. I thought Noonan did a great job of subbing in this match. You don't see a lot of coaches do these halftime substitutions, but it was super important with FC Cincinnati's lead to go ahead and pull out a guy with a yellow card. I know Junior, there's been a lot of fans calling for Kubo to be maybe even take the start today, and kind of a half and half was probably a good approach in my opinion. Brian, you concerned about Junior?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I think he gives you a good adequate defense. I think he's susceptible to quick play. He does not put the ball forward much, but honestly, today was his 25th start for FC Cincinnati, and starting him 25 matches allowed FC Cincinnati to send DC United $50,000 in GAM. So that's a performance incentive that they hit today. So I don't know how much of it was, hey, let's give DC like, hey, let's deal again sometime in the future kind of vibe. I do think if we're going to need to be out in the front foot more, you need to put Kubo in. But I guess it's what you and Justin were talking about, like matchup specific, maybe, Coach. But I mean, Kubo looked real well when he came in the second half. So I think it's kind of a blessing that we have two guys that are probably above the league average in their positions, and they offer something completely different. But yes, back to your point, Junior does scare me that he's not able to get the ball moving forward, as we say.
So we're going to New York. We know that. We're playing the Red Bulls, unless New York City somehow lost or tied a game or lost a game, but I'm pretty sure we're going to the Red Bulls. So what is it weird that we don't know when? Brian, like, I'm super confused. Like, we know the dates of the playoffs, but like, I want to book my travel right now because I'm hyped and I want to make irresponsible financial decisions. And MLS is not letting us. How long do they usually take to put this information out there?
You got to call Gon Darber on that one.
Do we have to wait for all the Western Conference games?
I would think that we know pretty much tonight. I think you'd have a pretty good idea where we are going into this match. So,
I imagine that's the number one question coming on social media.
You know, I look at it like it's an attractive matchup, but you look at like Miami versus NYC. There's some really, that's a defending champion versus Miami who's got Gonzalo Higuain. So that might take a premier slot. I don't know anybody who's going to pay to watch Orlando versus Miami in that first round. So I think we got a shot if there's, probably one of the later games. But yeah, I wanted Red Bull so bad. I don't know about you guys, like vindication versus these guys. They've always been a tough out. There's always been that little moxie in those games. And I want to redeem ourselves from all the pain and suffering that they've caused us.
Yeah. I think we match up well with them too. I mean, I think we match up well with most teams in MLS, but I think the Red Bulls, for some reason, I think that opponent is more attractive to me just because of the matchups there.
My only big worry about Red Bulls is that 2 of the worst games of the season for Lucho Acosta have been against Red Bulls. Right. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and see if they're really keying on him in a certain way that is not allowing him to get on the ball. Maybe some of it is like some bad blood that he has. I don't know. But both matches this year, he's played really poorly against them.
Clog the middle.
Well, they have that press style. It's super tough to play against, I think, and it's the one thing that always scares me against New York. But one thing we can count on is us playing Frankie Maya pretty well, because he always seems to get shut out by us, which is nice. Oh man, let's talk about these goals. 5 goals. Is that just because you're playing DC, or did we play unselfish soccer for the first time in a while? Because in my opinion, the last game versus Chicago, it was everybody going for glory. And this one seemed a lot more. Vasquez was just handing it to Brenner. Brenner finally gave it back to him. We have a goal by Lucho in the 6th minute to kick it off. Barrial with a long bomb that Vasquez was able to head over to Brenner in the 8th minute. So right off the bat, you've got 2 and 10. How you feeling there, right about Jason? 10 minutes in, 2 goals. Are you already counting your eggs? Your chickens,
no.
I guess?
at that point, I think I put on the slack that we can still, crap the bed and not get ahead of ourselves. One of the DC defenders was, I think, playing only his second or third game. So it was a tough
15-year-old.
Yeah. It was a tough out for the DC defenders to play against, that attacking trio of FC Cincinnati. But I think you're right. They did play very unselfish. They played a little bit more loose. And that's something I've noticed from this team when they're not at home. Sometimes they seem like they're more loose. And Brenner, Vasquez, and Acosta, all three of them looked like they were just really clicking on all cylinders. And they were able to obviously put the ball in the back of the net 5 times. So.
Is that the best way to attack a youth, coach? If you're playing against a youthful side, center backs especially that haven't been in there, you saw that second goal when it was bombed by Barreal. I verbally said out loud to my television, "Why are we trying this stuff? It's not going to work." Bam, Vasquez to Brenner, goal, and I ate my words. Is it because you try that stuff against kids?
Yeah, I think that it was a direct game plan right away because you could see it was actually Miazga that played that ball forward. But as soon as Miazga gets the ball, gets it out of his feet and look up, you see Vasquez and Lucho both running behind the back line at the same time. You could see right away they wanted to challenge that back line with balls over the top, force them to try to keep track of runners and the ball. And man, I love the awareness that Vasquez had of knowing where Lucho was to be able to direct that flick towards him. That was really, really a gorgeous goal, considering it came from basically, like you said, Boston, a Hail Mary pass. Is the old one where you throw it into the end zone and jump up and swat it to another guy to catch.
Yeah, it kind of did have those vibes, right? And then Brenner again in the 24th minute. That was the own goal. That wasn't an own goal. Is that an own goal, guys?
No, apparently not. Apparently, according to MLS, it was not, but I would have argued differently. But yeah, I mean, that was great. Again, the give and goes, the right feed to Brenner. And I mean, the ball was on frame. I mean, it easily could have gone in, but I mean, again, just moving the ball well. If we can continue to do that, doesn't matter who you play. That's tough to stop when you're touching it so quickly to your next guy and knowing where they're going to be.
And can I say, I love the fact that you have on a team, you see, like Jason mentioned, that Vasquez had 3 assists, because you can't just shut down Lucho. If Vasquez is able to pass the ball like that pass to Brenner in between the defenders running off the back shoulder like that was gorgeous. It was kind of the kind of pass that you see midfielders make, but you don't see strikers be able to do that. So if Vasquez can continue to add that to his arsenal, I just think it makes this team so much more difficult to defend.
We have more goals. We got more game to talk about. But guys, we made the playoffs. We just got to break it up.
Unreal. Yes, let's go clap. Let's clap, coach. Come on. Clap in your cars. Be happy. Go get an extra shot of espresso in your Starbucks on Monday morning when you're having to watch the Bengals tonight.
I did not see it coming.
What?
Not like, yeah, it's easy to say like 3 games ago, but I'm talking like rewind a little bit. We all just said we want a competitive season.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard each and every one of you beg for the last 3 years for a competitive season. That's all we really wanted.
Well, I got to look back and see when we signed Matt Miazga and how we kept saying, "Hey, man, if you can just get us good enough to keep us in it." I mean, it's still incredible. I mean, we go with 13 games unbeaten. We had a fluke match for Chicago, and then came back to kick DC's butt. Man, I mean, it's very impressive for what they've accomplished this year. Fifth place, not 7th, 5th.
Yeah,
I mean, Columbus.
I think I had him in my preseason predictions somewhere around like 9th.
I don't think
maybe.
anybody had him that close. Anybody had 5th.
I've been debating going to our redo article. Remember how at the beginning of the season you all predicted the spots and everybody was way off except for me. I had him in 7th place. So we kind of did a redo article on our website where I said, okay, everybody missed the boat, and this was halfway through, and I think FC Cincinnati was actually in the last playoff spot when we ran that article and said, all right, everybody gets another shot. Who has them making the playoffs? Who has them missing at this point? And there still was a decent number of you that picked that we would just miss it or we would just be on the outside. So I was going to pull receipts, but I decided it was too mean for the episode tonight. But you probably remember where you are in there.
I wasn't stupid enough to put that down.
Well,
No?
we had that article, that roundtable where it was, if FC Cincinnati's going to make the playoffs, who has to step up or what needs to happen?
Yeah.
And I think in mine, I mentioned Brenner's really going to have to step up, because at the time we thought Vasquez might get a call up to the national team and he would miss that West Coast
Yeah,
trip.
you're right.
And I just want to toot my own horn. I was right. And I saw that stat today. MLS Communications put it out that Brenner has 9 goals in the last 5 games, which is like tied for the most goals in a 5-game stretch in MLS history or something like that.
Yeah, he's
So-
just fire.
Yeah. So I was right, first of all. But yeah, that's exactly, I think, what this team needed was, somebody step up and really give them a kick in the pants offensively. And if I'm another opposing team, I do not want to play FC Cincinnati in the playoffs if they're clicking.
It's the one thing I can't wrap my brain around. We had Brenner, we had Vasquez, we had Acosta. So like, why the magic? Why 2022 and not like the end of 2021 where we saw, should we have been seeing flashes? Is there really something to the international players just need year 2? They need a 2-year bump, Brian. You're the one that's followed this league for a while.
Oh man, Cucho didn't need that extra year, so I guess it's not always. Oh wait, no, they didn't make the playoffs. I'm gonna have to throw that out every freaking segment.
It took me a second. I was like, oh yeah, I see where he's
No,
going.
I think having Obi and Junior really shored up the team, and I know they're not perfect, but allowing us to have some semblance of control in the midfield, I guess you could say. Adding guys who are good character guys and keeping our heads when, how many times last year if we got scored on first, we would just give up. So I think there's a huge mentality change. Albright had a great interview with Tommy G on the broadcast beforehand about how the players respected and trusted Pat Noonan, and I think a lot of that goes back onto his shoulders and his staff's shoulders. So great job overall. I can't wait to see how they're going to change next year. I mean, we're going to have, the season's not done. We're in the playoffs, baby, but we're going to have a lot of changes still. And I'm just excited to see how we can continue to manage this playoff run and going into next year.
You can't be coaching. Coaches are not that important, right, Coach?
There you go.
Listen, when you provide players with clarity about what their role in a team is, it simplifies their job. I've continued to say this whole season because that is Noonan's biggest plus. Like, he has not gotten his substitutions right all the time. His pregame tactics have not always been great, although he tends to make adjustments that work out. But his players have clarity in what they need to do, and that allows them to focus on their strengths. You don't have to worry about, should I be making this run? Am I supposed to drop off this way? Where is this pass going to go? If you know the game plan, and it's what we see as a problem with the U.S. men's national team right now is a lack of clarity. So I think that it is Noonan a lot, but also you can't discount the fact that these ancillary pieces that FC Cincinnati, that Albright was able to add, when you talk about an Alvis Powell being a big right back, being a big problem last year. And Alvis Powell wasn't great, but he was serviceable. When you talk about Junior Moreno, think about who was the second defensive midfielder last year, because Kubo was the first. You're thinking it was like Harris Medunjanin, guys like that. So, you can't also discount that.
Pat better win Coach of the Year. That's a tough. I personally don't think he's gonna get it. I saw Brian. Actually, we're gonna throw to Brian because you're the one that had a tweet out about who possibly is in the running for this.
Thank you for that, jerk. Yeah, no, well, they lost, and I guess we jumped them. But down in Miami, I'd say Phil Neville had a chance to become Coach of the Year. I think you're probably going to see, what's his name out in the LAFC? Trundolo,
Yeah.
and then Josh Wolf. I think they're going to be up there. And with a 5th place finish, I think you absolutely have to put him in your top 5. Put him in your top 5. I don't think he's top 3, but I has a hell of a year, hell of a turnaround. I mean, maybe, I don't know if they do an executive year award, but I think Albright has got to be on that.
Yeah, that's the question. I think it all comes down to is how do they weigh this thing? How do they scale it? Coming from wooden spoon to 5th place, is that a big enough turnaround to make you coach of the year, or are they looking for the coach that got the team from the bottom of the playoffs to the 1st or 2nd in the league? Are you looking at Philadelphia? Are you looking at LAFC, the big names? So,
Well, I know some of us have a vote on the writers side, so we'll see what we can do. I think we might have a little homer advantage there on getting Noonan's, at least him, nominated several times.
yeah, maybe they'll just ask only Cincinnati writers, and we can speed things along. All right, Brian, tell us about the live show that we have coming up. I know we have playoffs now, so like
Sure.
if we didn't make the playoffs, I was just going to make this whole show about making sure you attend the United States game. But now we'll just make it a piece.
Well, for sure, we'll have a live show on Friday, November 4th, when FC Cincinnati host whoever in MLS Cup. But we'll get to that point at sometime. But right now we got Grainworks USA versus Wales with AO Cincinnati on Monday, November 21st. We're gonna have a live show out in Liberty Township, Westchester area. So I'd love to have you guys take a half day work, come out, see us around noon, 1 o'clock ish on Monday the 21st before USA takes on Wales in the World Cup. So it's gonna be a great time out there. That's the home bar of Norden. Great beers, Hellas Real. Come out, join us, and then I think afterwards Bofus might be playing. So yeah, check it out. It's gonna be a great time.
It'll be real similar to our last Grainworks live show with CST, then Bofus follow up. We got to open for them, make sure they get the crowd there heated and ready. So no, we look forward. We had a great time at Grainworks. Really big crowd last time we were there. So
huge crowd, yeah.
So hopefully we can make that a big event again, and I'm sure Norden will have things rocking before we even get going.
This isn't officially an AO Cincy event. They're going to have one down, I think, at the pitch, as well as for us suburbanites out at Grainworks. So
okay,
check either out. But yeah, we'll be out there.
Nice.
All right. So hopefully, keep guys. If you are interested in having live shows, please feel free to hit us up. I think we're going to be having more. Sam Adams are great friends down there. I think there's an opportunity. Ryan House. So if you're interested, I would love to come down there and talk and have great events with everybody out there. It's something that we've always wanted to do, is get supporters to talk and meet, and that's what we're here for. So let us know. Boston is muted again.
It's hosting quality right here, folks.
Yeah,
amateur.
Well, I was too busy switching the sponsor in the top right corner. That's
Apollo.
right.
Apollo. There you go.
The back half of the show being, of course, sponsored by Apollo Home, our newest and awesome sponsor, who really are giving everybody a big award as well. So if you need any type of home service, they are well trusted. Don't take my word for it. Check out their Google reviews for all your home heating, cooling, electric, and plumbing needs. Kayla Porter, man, reach out to Apollo. Visit apollohome.com to book service, visit online, or give them a call to speak with one of their awesome customer service team members. Let them know, this is the key part, that you listen to CST, and they will waive your fee that they charge for an on-service technician to come out. It's gone if you listen to CST. So make sure you mention that if you call them. And Kayla Porter, yeah, man, get your house in order before you have to give it away.
Yeah,
I've been thinking about this, Boston.
All right,
is your furnace as cool as you please as Brenner going top bins versus DC United? Call Apollo. Get that furnace in order, baby.
Oh man, I don't
just wait till we're heating up in the summer.
Well, it's been nice having you sponsor us, Apollo. Or sorry, you just dropped us.
Oh, what a guy! What a guy! I can kick you out of this show, mister.
All right. Well, oh, goodness gracious. Let's talk about this whole playoff thing. We all of a sudden have to figure out what being in the MLS playoffs is like.
What's the bracket
look
like?
Guys, I've stopped paying attention to Major League Soccer every year in October. I don't know what's going on. Oh, what are we looking at here? I know we got to play New York, and then all the top teams won today, right? Philly won, Montreal won, both New York's won. Everybody in the top 5, we could say that, won their match today. So this is going to be a tough conference to try to navigate through.
I think whoever wins between FC Cincinnati and Red Bulls, they have to play the winner, or they
No,
have
they
to
play
play
Philly.
Philly next. So not a easy row for FC Cincinnati if they want to make it to the Eastern
Yeah, but
Conference Finals.
you know, Philly fans do not want to see us rolling.
No.
Yeah, I don't want to touch Montreal, so at least we're on the other side of that.
The Philadelphia
Oh, yeah.
Union are shaking, worried about us. They're going to watch that match. We have their number. We
He just
have.
had a hat trick too.
I know, right? No, they had. If anyone has Philly's number, it's us. We drew them, we beat them, and it's kind of the thing that gave me confidence in FC Cincinnati. That's who I want to see. Are we ready though? Are we ready, Jason, to be in the playoffs if you're FC Cincinnati?
Yeah, I think there's a few things you need to button up. I mean, close down defenders so they're not getting wonder goals from 20 yards out like they did today. But, like I said before, if I'm an opposing team, I wouldn't want to face this attacking trio from FC Cincinnati. I mean, that's the best scoring trio in MLS, I believe. And Lucho is up there as one of the best ball distributors. I mean, I'd be really concerned if I saw FC Cincinnati coming in. We have our weaknesses. I think we are seeing at center back, we have a little bit of a weakness there. But overall, though, I think we can beat anybody on any given night. We've shown it. We've played very well against good teams this year. The only teams that we really kind of, poop the bed against are the ones that we really shouldn't be having trouble with.
Shout out to Bailey Bergdolt for watching from Alabama. That's pretty cool to get the shout there. We've got Nate. Nate was supposed to join us today, but he's in DC. He was at the game. He lives in DC. So I think we've got people all over the place today, which is pretty neat. Oh man, I don't know. I'm worried about New York. Is our past struggles, is there a way to learn from our mistakes against New York this year and last year? Coach, what do you think?
I mean, the thing about Red Bulls is they're going to make the game ugly, and they're going to try to get under FC Cincinnati's skin. And we've seen even today, when after Moreno got toasted pretty badly in the midfield, he just went and shoulder barged that kid and got a silly yellow card. Then in the second half, when you're up by 3 or 4 goals, Barreal gets a yellow card for delay of game. So I do think that it's an issue. The whole you haven't been there before, act like you've been there. I think that's an issue for FC Cincinnati. And can they get the job done against Red Bulls? Absolutely, because they have the skill. That front three, the front four at times when you have like Obi or Kubo getting forward, Barreal. But the fact of the matter is it is going to be a good test of character about whether your team leaders and your young players can stand up to that sort of intensity in the playoffs when a lot of them have never been there before.
Yeah, those are good points. I want to know from you listeners that are listening right now, are you planning on going? Because I think it's going to be a well-traveled game. In my opinion, I think fans are going to try to make it to New York if they can. Granted, if the match is on a Monday, it's going to ding our chances of really filling up Red Bull. But anyone that's got vacation time that can make it somehow is going to try to make it, which is going to be cool. I think you'll see that. But
we also don't forget we got a supporters group up in the Jersey, New York area, baby. Let's go.
The Rats.
The Rats.
Oh, that's their mascot. It's a big rat, right? And for New York. Oh man, I hope this all just flows really well. Either way, I'm just glad to be here. But fans, how do you think we'll play New York? I just want to see some comments on that, and I'll put them up here. Are you worried about New York? Do you think we're okay? Because in my book, I'd rather play Philly. I'd rather if it was possible, I'd play Philly first, and then I would try to play New York.
Well, nobody called you smart, Boston. Yes, just because we beat them in the past doesn't mean we want to poke the bear now. I mean, these guys were almost the Supporters Shield winners. I think any out in the playoff is going to be difficult. But when you're in the playoffs, people are a little bit more reserved to go forward. When you have a front three that we do, I think that's an enormous advantage. I couldn't tell you New York's front three right now, and I apologize for that. But by me not being able to do that, I think that probably also shows you a little something. So I do like our chances. Going versus Philly, man, Gazdag, that's a tough out. So we'll see what happens. But I think you're going to have Coach in there. Coach is going to say, hey, let's shore up that gap between the center backs and the midfielders. I don't think we're going to be as exposed. I don't know, exposed. Is that the right word, Coach? Opening up like that versus New York. So we just need to have kind of what Jason said. Our guys need to finish. If we finish versus Rebels, we're going to have a shot. And you have one of the most potent attacks in the league. And I not saying we're going to win MLS Cup, and we might get bounced 4-1, but I feel pretty confident versus like if an RSL went into the playoffs, knowing they have like no forward.
Well, and then there's this weird thing where all of a sudden I'm going to be cheering for Miami and Orlando. I'm big team Florida now, because if they can make it through and we can make it through, we get a game at TKO Stadium, which going into today was the least of my concerns. I didn't care.
I think Columbus hosted MLS Cup one year, being like the 6th seed versus Portland is the 7th seed.
Yeah, it would have to
Portland won, but yeah, something crazy like that happened.
Clifford with a question. Matarrita, how is he doing? Can we get a real left back in? Love Barreal, but him more off the bench for Acosta or Brenner?
Nope.
Hard disagree.
Yeah, Matarrita's touch is way off.
Is that just
love
for being
him,
out?
Coach?
Yeah, I think anytime you're out for a significant period of time, you're dealing with two things. Number one, just the rust of picking up the speed of play. Training is not the same. But number two, how much do you trust yourself in those little moments when two players are going in for the same ball? You've just come off a significant injury. You want to be healthy for the World Cup. That's playing on these players' minds in the back of their heads. So is Matarrita pulling out of those tackles a little bit early? So Barreal has been really good. He's gotten other teams are focusing on the FC Cincinnati left, though. You saw it today. They're getting in behind Barreal. So as long as Miazga can still be the guy over there and playing solid defense, I think we can continue to roll Barreal out as a starter and look for Mata to come in late in the game, especially if you need a goal.
There is a stat, though, that Barreal has had 0 mistakes that have led to shots this year. And that's something to be said by Barreal. Okay. He's done well. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. But the relationship that he and Brenner and he and Acosta have going forward is invaluable, where you're going to basically put Matarrita out there and he's probably going to hoof in a long cross. I would rather have Barreal 10 times out of 10 right now. That could be absolutely different later. But yeah.
I see where you're going, though, Clifford, because Matarrita, we all have very fond memories of how he started. And we know what super healthy, up-to-date Matarrita looks like, and I think a lot of us want that. It really shores up some of that defense, and then he gets involved in the attack. So I guess the question is rephrased as, do you want a Barreal that's working with Acosta? Has a lot of trust. That's the big thing that pops in my mind. Acosta and Barreal are buddies. They trust each other. You saw it today. Acosta is not afraid to go cross-field, flick it to Barreal, and trust that he's going to get there. And he usually does. So I think that's where it is. Do we break up the party and
Definitely
stick Mata back in there, or do we keep it going?
I can't remember. I want to say it was our 3rd goal or something like that. Like Barreal had a high press, it deflected to Brenner or Costa and led to goal. I mean, that work rate that he gives is tremendous.
Yeah, but at the same time, if things are not going well in that match, I think that's an easy sub that you go to. And you bring Matarrita in if things need corrected. So be on the fly. I trust Noonan a lot. Big difference this year, I think, as well, is just the substitution patterns. He's made moves when they needed moves. Today, we could have found ourselves in trouble. We could have found ourselves in foul trouble. Although that coach was eating his whistle, he swallowed that thing deep. Yeah.
The ref, yes. He could not call a foul for an FC Cincinnati's favor, regardless of when Brenner gets tackled on the golden mouth. I mean, geez Louise.
Yeah, there were a lot of hard fouls too that he swallowed his whistle on.
You just don't get the benefit of the doubt, do you, when you're up 2 to 3 goals?
When you're playing a team of Miners plus Benteke, you're not going to have the benefit of every call. Miners isn't like sub 18-year-olds. Jason, I see your brain working there.
And when you're up 2-0 in the first 10 minutes.
Oh,
All
RIP. In the first half, this just popped in my head when Matt Miazga just destroyed that one winger for DC United with a tackle. RIP.
Is that late in the
that-
first half?
Yeah.
Yeah.
RIP to that kid. He got wrecked.
Yeah, he did.
All right, man. Playoffs. So I guess it's looking like it's pretty much set in stone now. Philadelphia, Montreal's 2 seed, New York City, New York Red Bulls 3-4, Cincinnati, Miami,
Fifth.
Orlando. Sorry, Columbus. There is no 8th spot. So that is what we're looking at. The West is up for grabs right now. Right as we're talking, they're out there battling. I think there's not much to battle for, though.
The simulation.
How much do you hate if you're Columbus that Cincinnati got in at the 5th and Austin, Texas got in too?
Well, and what was it after Porter shushed FC Cincinnati? They didn't actually win a game for quite a while, wasn't it?
A couple weeks ago, but that was, I think, versus
Yeah.
Red Bull.
Yeah. So you shushed for eking out a tie against your rival. And then it turns out that the rest of your season, it's those draws that were the reason you didn't make the playoffs.
We got a
So-
celebrity in the house, DJ Primetime, watching on YouTube. Dude, he's hoping for a home game again. He wants to get back in the stadium, hitting the tracks.
I got to hear that kickoff music. That's my jam.
I'll say this, guys. Let's look at the last 5 matches for Red Bull. Loss at home to Philly, win at home versus New England, at NYC, at Columbus, both losses, and then one today versus Charlotte at home. So, I mean, they're not tremendous by any means, but it's certainly got that. They're certainly a win-loss team. Not too many draws in there. So, I mean, I like our recent form guide. And check out when you guys have the option to check out Ken Hedger. He does a home, away, win scenario, and then a recent form scenario. So I'm very interested to see. I mean, you have both New York teams in the in New York City and Red Bull coming in. I'm looking at this. I was about to say their seeds are 5th and 6th, but that's not true. Their form aren't tremendous. I mean, yes, the NYCFC won their last 3, but I think I'd rather have Red Bull right now going into the playoffs.
Let's also say that, we say FC Cincinnati hasn't been there before. And whereas Red Bulls have tied for the most seasons in a row making the playoffs. But
Yeah.
Red Bulls have a rich tradition of bombing out of the playoffs spectacularly, even as one of the best teams in the league. So maybe their history of having been there before still isn't the best history. So, I mean, definitely gives us a fighting chance with these players and this coaching staff. I wouldn't count them out against anybody right now.
There's a sorry.
Go ahead. Even though it'll
There's
be
a
an
reason
uphill
why
battle.
they call them the Road Bulls this year. They're much better on the road. 9 wins on the road versus 6 wins at home. We got a fighting chance. I feel.
Well, isn't there that saying that's so Metro when they bomb out of the playoffs, going back to their Metro Stars days?
Yeah.
The
Boston.
one thing I hope that we don't do against the Red Bulls, and you mentioned it earlier, Brian, was I hope we don't play reserved. You see a lot of that in the playoffs where teams do play a lot tighter. They're afraid to give up a goal. I don't think Cincinnati plays well when they play like that. I'd love to see him go out there and play a little bit more open like they did today, because that worries me.
I think they got that trained out of them this past week. I mean,
I hope so.
We might look at that Chicago game, and that might be the biggest blessing that we've had. So that's all I hope. But we'll talk to somebody from New York, Red Bulls this week. Either me or Jeff, or probably not Brad because he's got a baby.
We gotta have a March to Match.
We'll
day
do
for
a March
playoff.
to Match
Yeah.
day this week. We'll have a
Yeah.
good time. And I'm sure Coach and Justin will reflect on that and get Justin's thoughts on. Well, actually, you had a good segment about big matches for either relegation, promotion, championships, things like that. So it's going to be exciting, man. I can't wait. I was so excited for this match, and now I'm on cloud 9 going into next week, just as long as it's not Monday.
Yeah, we'll talk on Talking Tactics this week. Obviously, Justin will give his perspective on going into the playoffs. He did it with FC Cincinnati in the USL. And, we'll also look back at all of these goals and talk about the specific things that FC Cincinnati did right. We'll look at what they did wrong on the 2 they gave up and what they can learn. So I think that I'm looking forward to doing Talking Tactics this week, heading into the playoffs. Like I think Jason said, maybe Brian said, at this point, I'm usually, pulling up my beach chair on the beach to watch the rest of the playoffs. Now I got to work.
Yep. Yeah. We all got to push forward a little bit longer, huh? I know Jacob's already got the match report, and I was like, all the editors are in this show right now. So poor Jacob.
Can I say something that's absolutely beautiful right now, guys? If you go on the Columbus Cruise Twitter right now, it says our journey ends in Colorado. Okay, you have 173 retweets, quote tweets, 265 likes, 437 comments, and of those 437 comments, let's say about 90% of them are FC Cincinnati fans with a
yeah
emoji to that.
It's such a good day. We could celebrate our own victory. We could celebrate our rival's defeat. I mean, this is the day you dream. I honestly, going into this weekend, I did not think all these dominoes would fall our way. First, you had to have the Miami. You needed Miami,
Montreal.
Orlando to go right. You needed the Columbus game to go, the first Columbus game to go okay, and they ended up getting a 2-2 draw there that set this whole decision day up. And then if you said, hey, FC Cincinnati need to get a win, Orlando gets a win, and we can be the 5 seed, I'd have been like, well, just give me 7. I'm fine with it. And here we go. 5th seed, everything went our way. We're Cincinnati fans. No, this doesn't happen. Everything doesn't go our way. Not only that, I think going into the playoffs hot is a big deal. Getting 5 goals is a massive confidence booster. If you're Brandon, you've struggled a little bit the past few weeks while Brenner's been being the hero. And here you go, you got your goal, and Brenner gave it to you, so they're working together. Brenner got another 3. Acosta's feeling good. He got the 1. Barrial's feeling good. He got some long balls in that will set everything up. Here's a stat for you from OptaJack. FC Cincinnati's Brenner and Brandon Vasquez are the first pair of teammates to each score 18 goals in a single MLS season.
Wow.
And that is really something, because you can't just go double team Brandon. And I think we've seen a little bit more of that. We've seen teams go, Brandon was our first half of our season stud, take him out of the equation. And all of a sudden, the back half of the season, Brenner catches up and even passes Brandon for a moment before they equaled on 18 goals apiece.
Well, let's talk about that relationship real quick, because I think earlier in the season, it kind of looked like those two guys might have been butting heads slightly. Brenner wasn't back to full form. Vasquez had a good start, and everybody was talking about him, and maybe Brenner was feeling a little left out or something. I don't know. But, that could have been a very negative relationship when you have 2 strikers competing for the leading goals. And now we have 2 strikers who are on the same page. And for both of them to have 18, that is spectacular. 19 if you count the Chivas game for Vasquez, by the way. That's where I was getting at.
And let's add in the fact that, like I talked about before, Vasquez has done so well dropping off and picking up the ball and playing provider. And one of you lovely co-hosts are going to look up how many assists he has while I'm talking here to back up my point. And then Brenner is so good on the ball. He's also really good at dropping in and linking up play. So it's not even like you have a target up top, like with Miami and Higuain. He kind of does one thing. If he drops off too much, he can create, but then he can't get in the box and score. One of the goals tonight for FC Cincinnati, you saw Brenner. I think it was the one where Barrial pressed, the ball deflected to Brenner. Brenner played the pass in behind for Barrial and then ended up back on the end of that goal after Barrial backheeled it to Lucho, and then Lucho played in Brenner. It's the one that was almost like an own goal. So I just think those 3 guys are not only goal scorers, but they're all so dynamic.
I want to say that Vasquez had 8 assists this year, something like that. I'm looking for Brenner.
Yeah, Brenner had 1 tonight. Vasquez had 3 tonight.
3 tonight, yeah. So Brenner has 6 assists. Vasquez has 8.
That's pretty crazy, and those are mostly to each other, which is nice. Brenner giving Vasquez 1 back tonight really made me smile, because I think Brenner could have shot it, honestly. And so that was pretty neat to see. Coach, I look forward to your breakdowns, though. I really want to know what you think about those, especially those 2 DC goals.
Well, I will say that I think that Brenner was trying to shoot that ball, but his touch was a little heavy, and he just happened to go to Vasquez. But I will give him credit for the fact that he opened up onto his left, which was the open spot on the field, to where if he has a good touch, he takes a shot with his left foot. His touch is heavy. It goes to the open spot of the field where Vasquez is anyway. I'm sure he'll take the assist on that and be happy.
The only guy in the top 10 scorers in the league, and you have to go pretty far below that. I guess Kyoto is like the exact same as Brenner, but he's got 2,061 minutes. Everybody else in here's got 2,800 minutes, 2,200 Arango. So the production that Brenner's had in such a short time has been exceptional. I just wish what could have been if we would have had him earlier in the season, and there's a lot to build on for next year out of him.
I know a lot of people were talking about how he is really increasing his sell on stock with this performance, and
that's what I said.
I agree with you. I agree, but
$100 million.
Don't sell him. Whatever. I beg the front office, Albright, if you're listening, which you're not, keep this front 3 together. And even Barreal, if he can get Barreal back, because I think he's a key piece.
Apparently
of this
he
team
did
as well.
Yeah, he tweeted out something about being re-signed.
Well, that's great, because I think if you have what sells when it comes to soccer, and that's goals. You have one of the most exciting teams to watch in MLS. Keep this front 3 together as long as you possibly can, unless somebody comes in and makes you some gigantic offer.
Yeah, the only problem with it that I think we could run into is they kind of promised him that at some point they might move him onwards. When he signed that 5-year deal, it was with an exception that, if Europe comes knocking, actually, I'm pretty sure it was part, they even said it at the time, it was part of the sale to Brenner, is come to FC Cincinnati, you'll get some attention, and then if you want to, you can move on. However, you're right. It's still early in his contract, and I think we could probably, year 3, I'm not super worried about. We are happy, if you can't tell, FC Cincinnati making their first ever playoffs. Our fans have been with us for 3 years. These people have stuck with FC Cincinnati. They've stuck with Cincinnati Soccer Talk. They donate their hard-earned money just so we'll get on the air and pay our bills so that we can keep this thing running. And congratulations to all of you. Reilly, John Davidson, Mike Hudson, Robert Stevens, Laurel Failer, Matthew Adamczyk, Riley Stephen Burke, James Denbrough, Tom Newhouse, Brian and Brad Weigel, Brian Gills, Dan Alberts, Will Kychek, Ian Rexroad, Augustus Caceres, Bill Antonitis, Carl Fight, Jeremy Schran, Kyle Pohl, Christina Sharma, Rupesh, Tom Beaversdorf, Jason, who is super average, John Haskell, Ryan Ernst, Mary Lou, Wes Anastasi, Rob Pierce, Clifford Adams, Thomas Thefts, Pierce Johnston, Mike Parentis, Mr. and Mrs. Wiederhold, Rob Gassell, Kevin Day, Jamie Smed, Alex Carnegus, Mike Bowman, Patrick Lahani, Dave Tingler, Brett Sova, Chris Hubbard, Kevin Cooney, Joe Max, Jack Emery, Sarah Gorman, Dave Moore, Bob Ryan, Ryan Durkin, Bart Labita, Mark Neuenschweimer, Robert Trappell, Joe Lohr, Bill Leopold, Maureen Desmarais, and Jose. All of you have been here for the journey, and we want to say a big thank you. But also, congratulations, guys. You're watching FC Cincinnati in the playoffs, and you've kept things running the best you've known how. And along with us, after years of doing the show, we are so excited to be talking about a winning soccer team as well. And I'm sure you did not want to hear another year of Coach and I and Brian and Jason trying to find silver linings. We don't have to. They're there. You can just point to them and say, see, there's the silver lining right there. All right, guys, I know we've hit the 1 hour mark. We probably should jump into your final thoughts unless something comes through on chat that you guys want us to address. We will still jump to it. Brian, give us your final thought.
I just think that you see accountability on this team. Chief Warpig here tweeted, I guess, a tweet of Lucho's from February losing to Austin and basically taking responsibility for what happened. That's not what they are, and they're going to improve. And by golly, they did. So a lot of character in this group, and I just can't wait to see what's ahead for us. You know, it could be a long run, it could be a short run. We never know. We'll know in a week, but yeah, just proud of these guys and how they ended up. So awesome year.
Thanks, Brian, and I'm glad you've been along for the ride, buddy. Coach, we'll go to your final thought.
Yeah, my final thought is just about that final whistle. You know, I didn't get to see a lot of what happened afterwards because I had the DC broadcast, but what I did see is Lucho Acosta down on all fours. You saw what it meant to him. You saw Brenner come over and pull him to his feet, and Vasquez coming off the bench right behind him, and you saw an embrace from those three. You know, congratulations to these guys for doing something that I don't think anybody who, you know, really had any sort of platform was predicting them to do. And so I just want to say, playing with house money doesn't mean that you go out and just blow it all. But at the same time, let's just enjoy the what we're here to see, enjoy the playoffs, enjoy the match, and hopefully come out with a win. But either way, I am so thrilled with this season.
Indeed. Jason.
Oh man, final thought. You know, sports are interesting because there is nothing worse than watching a bad sports team that you care about and just sticking through it, even though it's bad and you know it's going to hurt you. So it's really refreshing that this season has been what it has been so far, and that we're in the position we're in now to be talking about playoff games. One of the reasons I love MLS more so than in European leagues is because of playoffs. And because once the tournament starts, it's really any team. So like Coach said, we're playing with house money. Let's enjoy it. And you know, FC Cincinnati's got nothing to lose. They were not expected to be in this position. I am looking forward to hopefully this weekend a win at Red Bulls, fingers crossed. I'm not predicting anything, but I am really hoping that FC Cincinnati can make at least a little bit of a run in the playoffs.
That's right. My final thought is, hey, media, Cincinnati media, Fox 19, 700 WW, Sports Talk Radio, whatever,
Lance
ESPN
McAllister.
1530, everybody. It's
Lance
time.
has done his job.
Yeah, if you haven't been paying attention, it's time to pay attention. It's time to push this in front of every Cincinnati, and you know. I hope it's already that we clinch the playoffs is on the Cincinnati Reddit page. If it isn't, one of you just go post it, because this city needs to know that this team is the deal. They gave up on the Reds this year, rightfully so, because nothing was happening. The Bengals are still in progress. We don't know how that's going to go. So why not take advantage of the one thing you know for sure? FC Cincinnati is in the playoffs, and it's time to support this team. Whether that is hitting a local bar, getting people together at your house next week, or sorry, the 2 weeks for the playoff game, or driving or flying to New York to somehow support the boys in person. This is your moment. You've waited 3 years for it. Let's go all out as a city and support this club. That is my final thought. Sit back, enjoy it. This guys, we're going to have some stuff coming out this week, but sit back, enjoy the win, and celebrate with whoever is closest to you, whether they like it or not. Go to work and high five your boss, and when he says what's it for, be like, it's for our win and the promotion that you're going to give me. And go ahead and go get it. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We're headed out. Onward and forward, playoffs. 3 points for Cincinnati, right? Let's